The federal government of Nigeria recently announced a rebasing of the country's economy, which placed her as the fourth fastest growing economy in Africa, behind South Africa in first position, Egypt in second, and Algeria in third. Some economic analysts have tried to compare the current statistics with what obtained in 2014, when the government of the day did a similar rebasing exercise, after which all relevant indices showed Nigeria as the fastest growing economy on the continent. Critically, some officials of the current government have spoken out against those making that comparison. A few have actually called it an act of demarketing Nigeria, highlighting in the process the question of what really constitutes the concept of marketing or demarketing a country. While Dr. David Owah is Executive Director, Center for Ethical Conduct, Orientation and Empowerment. He joins us now to discuss the danger of demarketing Nigeria in the international space and the need for an ethical reorientation for Nigerians to promote patriotism. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Thank you very much.
So first of all, let's start with how can Nigerians balance free speech with responsible communication to avoid harming the country's image abroad?
You said?
I said, how can Nigerians balance free speech with responsible communication to avoid harming the country's image abroad?
Thank you very much. The need to balance our freedom of speech and also managing the thin line of damaging or tampering the image of our nation it's becoming of more necessity as the day go by, because you see, the image and identity of Nigeria is what makes Nigeria Nigeria. And if we are not careful at the level at which everybody at will throw tantrums or malign the image and dignity of this nation, we are putting ourselves at a very, very dangerous stage, because Nigeria is we are trying to repair it already. A lot of damage has been done. So, and for anybody to be spoiling the name of the country, I think is too bad. And what should be done, I think we need to check carefully the use of our words. There's an ethical violations to all these things. And like, for instance, there are two basic journalists and Nigerians who actually have decided to always eat at the image of the nation for time past now. One, Kemi Badinoch. Look at all our comments about the nation is very, very bad, and projecting the nation in a bad frame. This is dangerous for possible investors. It's dangerous to attract prosperity. Recently, we also have an investigative journalist, Fisayo Soyombo, who at a gathering of journalists in Switzerland was condemning all public institutions in Nigeria and mentioning names that nothing is good about Nigeria. And you are taking an award in the name of Nigeria. What projected you to be qualified for that award in the first place is because you're a Nigerian. Calling him, most of all these cases, he's even mentioning over there, mentioning Nigerian customs, mentioning Nigerian police. Only you have problem with all the institutions. Then who do you now believe in? I think most of all these things are more emotional and sensational rather than being patriotic. We have to be patriotic. Nigeria is all we have got. And we must stand to defend the dignity. We must stand to defend the image of this nation, and we must stand to protect it, because every of these things is projecting us and becomes risky for us to have the bilateral mutual understanding we have, or we should enjoy with the international people, with the international community. And it is bad for other Nigerians who are actually aspiring to have bilateral relationship or business or transaction to do with the other counterparts. And these things are not done in the other side. We know that Nigeria is a work in progress, and we are praying to God with our support as Nigerians, patriotic citizens. We believe that we are getting there. Things are not the way it used to be before, of course. Other countries didn't just arrive where they are just by magic. It took them a process, and more importantly, patriotic citizenship, supporting government, supporting institutions, and making constructive criticism. This constructive criticism is what we need, and not total condemnation. Most of these statements are so volatile that it's as if there's a personal enmity, either towards the government or people at the helm of the government, because this set of people seems to see nothing good about Nigeria. They seem to see nothing possible to work or would rather work. And all of these people, at what end, what are they doing to actually redeem the situation of things? That is the question we should be asking them.
Yes, actually,
the
Dr. Owah, let me interrupt you there, because that's exactly the question I wanted to ask you. Who do you believe bears this responsibility primarily for addressing the demarketing of Nigeria? Is it the government, the private sector? And what are the biggest challenges in countering any of this information, misinformation, or any biased narratives that contribute to Nigeria's demarketing?
If you ask me, protecting the image of Nigeria is a duty for everybody, not just the duty of the government. The government can't be everywhere. The government holds Nigerians the duty of securing lives and property. That is what the government was. And to make everything we are doing thrive and make economy boom and people should be able to survive. And as Nigerians, we must be patriotic. We must cooperate with the government and ensure we do our own part to make things work together. The government at their own hand may be at the more receiving end or be more responsible to do more and making things. And how the government do on their own part is what we call transparency. When the government are transparent in their policies and in what they do, and Nigerians can see that what they are doing is right. But Nigerians too must first of all know that everybody has the responsibility to defend the image and protect the dignity of this nation. And going forward from what I've been saying, like in the case of Fisayo now, he has a personal motive of personal vendetta with even unverified and unsubstantiated facts that he represents. And in his own personal judgment, he believes that he's an authority that shouldn't be challenged. When you make a presentation, mentioning names, calling institution, you don't want, and he said he is regularly being arrested. Nigeria is a country governed by law, for God's sake. And if there is a law, definitely there must be sanction. And if anybody feels threatened that you have trespassed on their personal rights, they are entitled to their opinion to petition you or seek redress in the law court. And for any reason or any purpose, there is a retaliation or a petition against these individuals for personal vendetta or cyberbullying. They begin to use their influences because their social or online presence to intimidate fellow Nigerians, which is it doesn't speak well for the individual they are attacking, neither does it speak well for Nigeria. Look at all this misrepresentation now. They have adverse effect on us as a nation. And the effects are all these economic challenges you see we are facing. Because investors who we are supposed to be attracting, we are getting them scared in the process of thinking we are building career, of thinking we are making sense. You might be saying this, but what is it? Some of these persons, I bet you, give them Nigerian presidency position today and let us see what they can do. How many times have they written to the government or most of the institutions to provide solutions to the things they condemn about? How many of their personal free will have gone into philanthropism? Let them come out and bring these results. These are things patriotic citizens do to support the government, because the burden on the government is not easy. Nigeria is a country of over 200 million populations. So the government, to at a point, just provide a particular solution to solve the people's problem. It doesn't work that way. So, and we must be careful and watch. The government and Nigerians must work together to see how we can manage this damaging of our nation identity and integrity.
But
so for
Dr.
us, at the
Owah,
Center for Ethical Conduct, Orientation and Empowerment,
Dr. Owah, shouldn't a focus on national development and progress be the basis, shouldn't that be the foundation to promoting patriotism amongst Nigerians, particularly in the face of the common challenges that we share? Should we really say criticism of Nigeria's governance and policies is unpatriotic?
Of course, criticism are the drivers for more corrections or possible reactions from the government to do more. Criticism are meant to be constructive but not damaging. Criticism are meant to either correct or to call attention that this is what you are doing wrong, and where it is wrong, you can fix it. But these are not direct criticisms. These are attacks. I think we should learn to know the difference between criticism, attacking, and damaging of image. Most of what they are saying or presented has been advocacy or been investigative journalism, and they are just hiding under personal motive and emotions, which for me, I believe is a bias because it is self-based. Nigeria is a nation that's bigger than anybody. And nobody can be more Nigerian than the larger Nigerians. So what you feel or your opinion shouldn't be the basis for you to judge the entire system. Everywhere in the world, every country in the world have their own lapses and challenges. So, but the patriotism in them, make them manage it. When you criticize, it is good. When it is constructive. But when it comes as an attack and has the tendencies to damage and present your nation in the bad light, it's causing a lot for most of what we are even experiencing as a country today. The economy we are facing, why investors are running away, why investors can't stay, why people outside there may not trust a Nigerian to want to do business transactions.
Is it really because of what people are saying that investors are running away? Or is it because in reality the challenges are enormous in Nigeria? Is it the people that are chasing investors away with their words? Or is it that the Naira is not stable? Or is it that there's insecurity in the land? Or is it that Nigeria actually has serious challenges that we should talk about how to tackle?
I have observed in the establishment of my statement that we already have enough issues on ground to deal with as Nigerians. No doubt about that, a lot is bad currently. And the government of today is doing its best to fix it. You can see dollar has come down for about 2 to 3 weeks now, and it has maintained that state for some times now. So it's a work in progress. This is not a magical thing. It's only God that can perform some of the system is already bad. And what we are trying to say and what we are saying is that ethical conduct or patriotism helps us to see how we can manage what is already bad to smooth to what we are eyeing or what we are hoping to get. So Nigeria has a bad system already, not because of the criticism. Most of all these things are inherited and they are foundational problems and not caused deliberately, but because where we find ourselves. But it shouldn't be a tool for attack at every given opportunity, especially at international forums. That is what we are saying. This shouldn't be what exposing these things, because already you have mentioned the issues of insecurity. No government will deliberately want to see lives of its citizens just be wasted on a daily basis. We already have challenges of unstable economy that the government is trying to fix. These are enormous problems already on ground we have got. And for others to now take advantages of this, look at Kemi Badenoch. She always strives. Somebody who even lives in London, she still gives recourse to her life in Lagos since childhood. So some of these things are deliberate. And now that you are doing well in the international, what have you done to see or to assist the government in salvaging the situation that we've got? Instead of adding salt to our injury, there can be more patriotic ways of ethically handling all these matters.
For
cheap gains,
speaking of ethically handling,
in the case of Fisai of Soyombo.
Yes, I want to talk about ethical reorientation, exactly what it means to you in the Nigerian context, and to what extent do you believe that the actions of some of the more notable individuals in our country influence the ethical compass that we as Nigerians use and employ with the general populace? To what extent do you believe politicians and community leaders influence this ethical compass that is, to your definition, skewered?
Okay. Ethics, we believe, is a conduct, governed lifestyle of an individual that should govern what is right and what is wrong. So we believe that if this ideal or virtue that we call ethics is instilled in a human, it will govern the conduct of what they do and guide them towards making the right choices. And this now boils down that ethics is something that starts from individual, transcends to government, and is carried along even to leadership positions. So let me give an example of ethical dilemmas and situations we are talking about. When Fisai Soyombo was given the opportunity to give a speech at the News Story Award, the True Story Award in Switzerland, he said that Nigeria is a country full of corrupt people, and he has come here to take an award because he exposed an IBD Dende, he exposed a former SDG, he exposed Nigerian Army, and mentioned all our institutions. What does ethical conduct tell you? Ethics now tell you that you must have conscience. And what is the truth in what you are saying? What is the truth? And all these things are false misrepresentation that has actually compounded the problem that we are facing today. So ethics now may tell you that, is it right for me to do this? And if it's right, is it here? Is this forum the best place for me to say this? If for whatever reason you have been nominated and you have actually met the criteria, and the whole center speech for such a particular international forum is for you to damage and dampen the image of Nigeria, that is ethical violations, either by principle or even out of professionalism. Because for journalism, we believe that the key subject of journalism should be truthful. Is it factual? And what to what end this is. So, and the problem now is that these people has the followers that they depend on them for information. They have this influence either because of online presence or because of their social media impact. So, and this misinterpretation is part of the problem of Nigeria. The Nigerian citizens are on a regularly basis, in fact daily basis, being misinformed. And this thing has to be called. It's part of the challenges we are facing. This misinformation now constitutes a mental idea in the mind of a common Nigerian. And this informs their misbehavior. Even in Nigeria, so many Nigerians don't believe in Nigeria. So many people have given up that Nigeria can work or will never work. That's the reason why a youth currently, as we speak now, is targeting, hoping to travel abroad. Nobody wants to stay back because of some of this false information that have been given. And that the entire system is bad. That is not true. Every system, nationwide, internationally, in the worldwide, they have their own peculiarities and challenges. So we must be patriotic. We must be ethical enough to decide, is this right for me to do? Is this right for me to say? If I say this, is it the right place? What damage am I making to my nation? Am I trying to help the nation, or am I creating more problem? So in these instances that I said I've just mentioned, there's no way we have made any progress rather than dent the image of the nation and damage the dignity and further put us at a very bad light and misrepresentation globally.
Now, Dr. Owah, I'm just wondering how easy it will be to promote ethical conduct, when the basic needs of Nigerians are not being met. Some Nigerians are still struggling for food, struggling for shelter, struggling for clothing. They are struggling for the bases, struggling to survive. So I'm wondering, in that kind of situation, how you want to preach ethical conduct to them. Some people have been denied of their rights. We're talking of historical injustices. Some people have been deprived of their human rights. Without correcting all these issues, how do you begin to talk about ethical conduct and patriotism?
The good thing about the ethics and ethical conduct is not just meant for common Nigerians. It begins also with the leaders. Because correcting ethical violation and all the challenges you just mentioned, ranging from hunger and all sort of, that now becomes the challenge we are trying to instill at leadership at all levels, from the presidency down to the last person in government, because the whole Nigeria responsibility of transparency. That brings us back to ethics. If you have a conscience for moderate virtue, you will know that to siphon government money is bad. Your conscience will be alive to tell you that this thing I'm doing to Nigerians is not good. So, but for Nigerians, I believe that we still don't have any other alternative. We can't return back to where we are coming from. We can only forge ahead. So I believe that the problem is already on ground. So that does not stop the crusade and the evangelism of ethical conduct, because that's still the only way out. Of recent, we even recommended to National Assembly that they should even make it a curricula from primary school, that there should be a subject called ethics or ethical conduct. I think from childhood, it's still easy for us to instill some of these virtues and attitude in them and bring them up with it. But for the elderly ones, we are making efforts, doing several trainings and organizing several symposium, reorientation, for just ensure that we understand the only way out that is lacking, that has worsened the situation of the country, is lack of ethical compliance. And unless we return back to find it and imbibe it and adopt it as our main lifestyle, a lot will not still be gotten right. So it is sad that Nigeria still is what it is, but we believe things are gradually getting better under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think things are getting better, but it can't happen as a magic as we ought to. So, but while the process is on, I believe the only result we have is to imbibe and hold on to ethical conduct. We must live by conduct governed by moderate virtue, governed by conduct, and governed by what is right. Doing what is right
David
always.
Owah,
We
thank you
also
so
make
much
it easy
for joining us this afternoon. Dr. Owah is the Executive Director of the Center for Ethical Conduct and Orientation and Empowerment.